1. So we have 5 ACT questions that we need to go through. So let's go through them really quickly and see if they're easy or not. So the first question says, which of the following equations represents a quadratic function? Well, option A is y is equal to 3x plus 5. That's called a linear equation because the greatest power of x is just 1. A quadratic equation is 1, or quadratic function is 1, where the greatest power of x is 2. And you can see the only option that makes sense in is B, right? So we're going to go with B for our final answer. And let's see if that's correct. I'm going to click B, submit, and that's correct. The reason it's not 3 or 4 is because the greatest power of x is not 2. This is an exponential equation. And this one here, y is equal to square root of x, well, that's basically the same as writing y is equal to x to the power of a half. So that's not a quadratic equation. So let's go to the next question. Next question says, a train travels a distance of 240 kilometers at a certain speed. If the train speed is increased by 10 kilometers per hour, it will take 1 hour less to cover the same distance. What is the original speed of the train? Okay, so if it's increased by 10, it will take 1 less hour. So speed is what? Distance over time, right? It's equal to distance over time. I'm just going to write it like that. Well, we know the distance here is 240, right? So this is 240 is over time, some specific time, is equal to our speed. Now I'm going to call the speed x, okay? Let's just call it x. That's what we need to find. Now we're increasing the speed by 10 kilometers per hour, and it will take 1 less hour to cover the same distance. So that means that our new speed is going to be x plus 10 is equal to, and then the distance stays the same, so that's 240, because it said same distance, right? So we have 240 divided by, and now 1 less hour, so we're going to do t minus 1, because we're told it takes 1 less hour. So I'm calling t in hours, x in kilometers per hour, and 240 meters is the distance. 240 kilometers is the distance. Okay, so how do we solve this equation? Well, we know x plus 10 is equal to 240 over t minus 1, and we know 240 over t is equal to x. So we can substitute back for x in here, or we can find the expression for t. So from here, you can get that 240 over x is equal to t. Okay, what can we do? Now we can use this right here and plug it into this right here. So I'm going to have x plus 10 is equal to 240 divided by, and now t is 240 over x. So I'm going to have 240 over x minus 1. Okay, now what can we do? Well, we just make this simpler and then solve for the equation. So we have x plus 10 is equal to 240 divided by, and now this right here can be simplified as 240 minus x divided by x, right? We just cross multiply this right here. Okay, and now since we're doing this thing divided by all of this, well, I can just multiply by the reciprocal, right? So this is the same as x plus 10 is equal to 240x over 240 minus x. Okay, now what do we do? Well, we can multiply everything by 240 minus x. So I have x plus 10 times 240 minus x is equal to 240x. We can open these brackets up using FOIL. So we have 240x plus 2400 minus x squared minus 10x is equal to 240x. Well, this and this can cancel out, and we bring all of this to the other side. So I have x squared, I'm bringing this to the other side. I have x squared plus 10x, because I'm bringing it to the other side, minus 2400 is equal to 0. And now we have a simple quadratic equation to solve. So now we have x is equal to minus b, so that's minus 10, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that's 100, minus 4ac, so that's plus 4 times 2400, so that's 9600, so plus 9600, divided by 2a, so that's just 2 right there. And then you can put this in your calculator and you will get, let's do it in my calculator. So I'm going to get the square root of 9700 minus 10 divided by 2. So I'm going to get 44.2, approximately 44.24. Was that one of the options that we had? Yeah, we did right here. Let's submit. And you see, that's correct. Let's go to the next question. So this question says the sum of two numbers is 10 and the product is 24. What is the difference between their squares? Okay, it's pretty simple. So let's call the numbers x and y. So I have x plus y is equal to 10. And I have x times y is equal to 24. Okay, from here, you can conclude, right, that x is equal to 10 minus y. If you just rearrange the equation, you can get x is equal to 10 minus y. And I can put that for x right here. So I can have 10 minus y times y is equal to 24. Because instead of x, I just have 10 minus y. Okay, now what do I get? I do 10 times y, so I have 10y, and then minus y times y is minus y squared. So I have 10y minus y squared is equal to 24. I can bring this to the other side, so I have y squared minus 10y plus 24 is equal to 0. Okay, now what do we do? Well, we can factorize this, right? We can have y minus 6 times y minus 4 is equal to 0. So either y is equal to 6 or y is equal to 4. And it doesn't really matter because whatever you choose, right? Let's say you choose y is equal to 6. Well, if y is equal to 6, then x is equal to 4. So we can have 6 and 4 as one of the couples, I guess. And then if y is equal to 4, then x is equal to 6. So I'm going to have 4, 6. This is y and this is x, this is y and this is x. It doesn't really matter because what you're going to do is you're going to find the difference between their squares. And when you square two numbers, it becomes positive anyway. So let's square these two numbers. I have 36 minus 16, or I have 16 minus 36. So I'll get 20 here, or I get negative 20 here. So we need to find one of these two answers in our options. And you can see the only option we have is 20. So we'll go with 20. And that's the correct answer. Next question. There's a quadratic equation x squared plus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. What are the solutions for x? So how do we solve this equation? So we need to find two numbers that are going to add up to positive 5. And they're going to multiply to positive 6. And I'm sure you can think of the two numbers. You can think of plus 3 and plus 2. So if you add 3 and 2, you get 5. You multiply 3 and 2, you get 6. So that means we can write this as x plus 3 times x plus 2. And this is equal to 0. Well, so now we have that either this is equal to 0 or this is equal to 0. So we take it one step at a time. So if x plus 3 is equal to 0, well, then we can just rearrange and bring it to the other side. Then we have x is equal to negative 3. And if you have x plus 2 is equal to 0, then we rearrange again. And we have x is equal to negative 2. Let's just bring the 2 to the other side. So our options are negative 3 and negative 2. And you can see that's the right answer. Let's submit it. And it's correct. Let's look at the final question. So x squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. What is the sum of the roots of the quadratic equation? Well, I'll tell you right now the answer is going to be 7 because the sum of the roots is always going to be minus b over a. So in this case, our b is negative 7. So it's going to be negative 7 divided by a is the coefficient of x squared, which is just 1. So that's equal to 7. But let me show you how it's done using the formula. This is because I know that's going to be the answer, but I'm going to show you how it's done using solving the equation. Let's just solve the equation. So we have x squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. So how do we get there? Well, we need to find two numbers that add up to negative 7 and multiply to give positive 10. How do we do that? Well, if you think of negative 5 and negative 2, you have minus 5 minus 2 is equal to 7, and we have minus 5 times minus 2 is equal to plus 10. So that's good. So now we have x minus 5 and x minus 2 is equal to 0. Well, it's either x minus 5 is equal to 0 or x minus 2 is equal to 0. So let's take it one step at a time. So if x minus 5 is equal to 0, then we have, by rearranging, we just bring 5 to the other side, we have x is equal to 5. And if you have x minus 2 is equal to 0, then by rearranging, we have x is equal to 2. Let me just write that again, the same way that I wrote for x minus 5. So we're just going to be rearranging this one. We're going to have x minus 2 is equal to 0. We rearrange, and we get x is equal to 2. So what is the sum of the roots? Well, you just have 5 plus 2, and that's equal to 7. So that should be the right answer, and that is the right answer. So yeah, hope that makes sense. Hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know if you want to see more videos on SAT questions.